We got a special edition of the Badger Red Zone podcast today. We're joined by new special assistant to the head coach, Brad Davison, who's now back in Wisconsin after a pro career in Lithuania and Spain. Before we start, Brad, a ton of Big Ten fans just want to clear the air, and they want to know. They asked me to reach out and make sure you have no eligibility left. Is that correct? Greg Gard has not found a loophole, and they're not going to see you wearing the red and white on the season opener here in November?
Unfortunately, I'm here to report that I do not. I have not found any eligibility, but I do hear that they're just giving it out at this point, so I might have to do some more digging. I got to find the right doors to walk through to see if we can pull that off. But as of now, I will not be wearing a jersey. I'll be wearing a suit on the sideline.
You are wearing a practice jersey these days, though, and you're a couple weeks away, a couple weeks removed from a pro career. What's it like just to be back and kind of used as I know you're going to, I think Joe Kravinoff said you're going to touch just about every part of this program. You're going to do a lot of different things, but to be able to just be in practice and kind of challenge the guys differently, what's that role just been like for you so far, with the scout team and, kind of be able to do what you do best, just get after people and push them to be better?
No doubt. It's been great. We haven't necessarily split into scout team and rotation yet.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to when that time comes, but any opportunity I get to, whether it's hop in a drill or sub in for a couple possessions, the goal is just to add value and to raise that competitive level, maybe play with some more physicality than they've seen before to get them prepared for games. And for me, I was fortunate enough, I never got the chance to play on scout team when I was here as a player because I got the opportunity to play as a freshman. So for me, it's going to be a new experience and one I am definitely looking forward to have that neon green light on the scout team to go out there and try to make them better and try to push the rotation guys as much as we can.
I know you mentioned even before you left Wisconsin as a player, coaching was always something you wanted to do, but was it hard to give up a pro career after just 4 seasons and come back to this and kind of just hang up the sneakers for good? Or, why is this such a easy decision for you to kind of move your entire life back here to Wisconsin while, I think you said you left one game into the season?
Yeah, for me, this was definitely, I'm not going to say an easy decision or a hard decision, but for my family, we've been very open and transparent about what playing basketball professionally overseas was. I know some guys are over there and they want to play as long as they can, play till their legs fall off. Mm-hmm. For us, it was never the case. We wanted to go over there, enjoy the experience, see the world, have a great quality time with one another, play basketball at a high level, and ultimately play until there was an opportunity to come back and coach that we were excited about. And so when the opportunity came to come back to the University of Wisconsin, that checked every box in terms of excitement level. But with that being said, yes, the timing was really quick and just went through a whole preseason to get ready for the upcoming regular season. So there was some hesitation and some questions that I had, but it was actually my wife that when I went and told her about the situation and the opportunity, she said, "Brad, hold on. When God opens the door to your dreams, you don't hesitate, you walk through it. No matter what you're doing, where you are, it's not a question of if we're going to do this, but it's how are we going to make this work." And the reason why she had such conviction and clarity with that, or these are conversations that we've prayed about, we've prepared for, and we've been having for years in advance. So the reason why we were able to make that decision and maybe make it look like an easy decision is because this is what we've been preparing for, and these are conversations that we've had for years and years.
I like to think I know you a little bit. I'm guessing you did not relish the moment where you had to tell your team one game into the season that you were stepping away. How did they just take that, when you broke them the news that, you were leaving for good?
Yeah, it was very challenging. Those are very difficult conversations, but ultimately difficult conversations are needed to be had to get to where you want to go and to get to where you want to be. The timing of how it all went was, I got a call from Coach Gard on Thursday that this might be an opportunity. Didn't think much of it. Friday, got a call that this was an opportunity. A, do you want it? B, is this even possible? And so obviously the answer A was yes, but then B, there's some things that we need to figure out. There's some strings attached here that we got to figure out. On Saturday, Coach Gard offered me the position a couple hours before my first game. I started, let me play this game and then we'll get back to you. So I played my first regular season game, made the decision after the game that this was the route that my family was going to go. And Sunday called all my teammates, called my coaches, called the GM, called the president, told them the news directly from me so they didn't hear it through the grapevine. And then on Monday, they gave me the opportunity to come in and speak to everyone in person and to say goodbyes, to tell them my side of the story, to tell them about the opportunity. And everyone handled it really well because ultimately this has been my goal. Again, my goal was never to play professional basketball as long as I can, but it was to get back into college coaching and to have the opportunity to come back to a place that's so near and dear to my heart and to my family's heart. It became a no-brainer for us, and there was really great understanding. Obviously, the timing wasn't great. Those are tough conversations to have, and I wish them nothing but the best, but also this was the best decision for myself and our family.
You can tell me if my memory's incorrect, but I think you initially wanted to do this, maybe not in this specific role. It might have been, GA or something like that, but you wanted to do this right after your Wisconsin playing days were over. And I think it was Coach Krabenhoff who kind of talked you out of it and convinced you to go play as long as you can and kind of enjoy that before getting into coaching. If I'm right, do you kind of remember that conversation that you had with him?
Yeah, those were conversations that I had with Coach Gard, Coach Crab, other players that were playing professionally after my senior season, and then also again after my super senior season,
right.
Just figuring out, what does the future look like? And ultimately I knew that I wanted to get back into college coaching, but did that mean right now? Did that mean a couple years down the line? And for us, when I left my super senior season, the main thing I was thinking about is I also got married that summer. I got married that summer, and my wife was coaching in Milwaukee. I had different opportunities to keep playing, whether it was on an E10 contract in the NBA or going overseas or potentially getting into coaching. And the number one thing that we prioritized and valued is we said, you know what, no matter what we do, we want to build our first year of marriage on a foundation of being together, living in the same house, doing life together. We didn't want to do distance for our first year of marriage. So once we made that decision, then it was like, all right, let's look at our options and see how it's possible for us to do that. So that was a big driving factor of what brought us overseas so that we could both play together, live together, and start the first year of marriage. But then talking to Coach Crab and Coach Gard, they both said, for me, I wanted to grow because I knew my ultimate goal was to one day become a head coach at the college basketball level, to be a part of a program like this. It was, what are the steps that need to be taken to get there? And you can either, get right into coaching and start that path, or at the same time you can keep playing. And either way, you're still growing and learning new ways to play basketball. And so from a basketball standpoint, the opportunity to go overseas and learn a new way to play, a new way that coaches communicate. I think after my 5 years at Wisconsin, I had that play style down pat. But then the opportunity from a basketball standpoint to go overseas and to learn and to see a new way of playing basketball, a new way to play defense, to play with players and coaches from all over the world, that was a very appealing opportunity too when it comes from a basketball side in terms of growing the player and coach and person that I was at the time. So a lot of conversations, a lot of different things to think about, but glad it's all led us back to this moment.
Yeah. So let's just go down memory lane a little bit. I mean, you and I obviously go way back. I think I first met you when you were a freshman or sophomore in high school at a Wisconsin camp, and obviously I followed you and watched you play before you got that offer from Wisconsin. But Coach Gard was talking about after camp, I think it was your freshman year, that you kind of came and sought him out after camp to sort of make sure, I would guess, to make sure that you were on his radar. Even before all these relationships were built with Coach Gard, Coach Krabenhoff, what was it about Wisconsin that just attracted you to this place to, want to do that after camp as such a young player who, probably wasn't even in the conversation of getting a scholarship offer that early.
Yeah, no doubt. I definitely wasn't in the conversation at that point.
Okay.
I think that's definitely fair to say. For me, growing up in Minnesota, I grew up with season tickets to the Gophers and grew up as big fans of basketball, coming from a basketball family. And so I watched a lot of Big Ten basketball. And when I was growing up, Wisconsin was the best of the best in the Big Ten. And every year they were winning a lot of games, competing at the highest level. And I got to witness that from afar. And so for me, as I was growing up, when it came to the Big Ten Conference, they were always the team that I had circled and that I had goals of becoming good enough to have an opportunity to compete at their level one day. And so that was one thing I always appreciated about Wisconsin and Coach Gard, Coach Ryan, and then Coach Krabs. I went through the recruiting process. A lot of coaches will tell you how good you are and the reasons why you should come play for them. And for them, they always told me what I needed to get better at in order to be able to play at this level. And maybe for some guys that would maybe turn you off, but for me, man, it just lit a fire and had more clarity of, you know what, no, Wisconsin's at a standard and a level that I need to get to. Like, that's where I need to get to. That's what I want to do. And so, yeah, growing up, they were the standard and they were the goal. And then as I started getting recruiting, that's kind of the narrative they took too, is like, hey, this is the standard and this is the goal and this is the level you need to get to have an opportunity. So it was something that I wanted to earn. It was something that I wanted to go chase. And I think that conversation with Coach Gar was just one of the very, very early steps in me trying to earn and me trying to chase the standard of what's become Wisconsin basketball.
I remember when, you got that offer. I don't think you got it at this tournament, but I went out to Virginia. I don't know if you remember, and you just went on this insane run in the Nike EYBL. And I always tell people about this one game. You were on the floor with, I forget what AAU team it was, but DeAndre Ayton, Phoenix Suns All-Star center, was on the other team, and I always tell people, Ayton was not the best player on the floor in that game. It was Brad Davison, and you just went on this insane run. And at the time, I think you only had mid-major offers. It was like mostly the Dakota schools, that were on you. And then it felt like everything turned. What do you just kind of remember about those 5 games you played in Virginia that sort of led to all the high major schools kind of piling in on you there early in the spring?
Yeah, it's a good memory. It's a huge part of my story. Is I was a mid-major guy until that weekend, and we actually had some injuries that weekend. We had Trey Jones was out, so
yeah.
I actually got moved over to the point a lot and played a lot of point and shooting guard that weekend. It was against California Supreme.
Okay,
and
that's
they
right.
were one of the top teams in the EYBL. We also were one of the top teams. This was like session 2, so you never know how good teams were yet. It was just one of those games where you got into a zone that I didn't know how many points I had. I didn't know what the score was. I didn't know anything except for just completely locked in on how can we win this game. And the odds were stacked against us. We had a bunch of guys out, and somehow, some way, at the end of the game, we came out on top. And after that game, I got 3 ACC offers from coaches that I'd never talked to. I didn't know if they knew who I was before that game. But I just got calls from head coaches, scholarship opportunities, and I was like, wow. And then not very long after, I got a call from Coach Gard, and I got the offer to go to Wisconsin. And I'll never forget what he said. He said, hey, are you ready for this avalanche of love that's going to come your way now that you got this offer? And I said, I don't really know what you're talking about, but I guess so. And then after that, started getting high major offers from just about every conference in the country, all the Big Ten schools, all the different schools, and so I'll always remember Coach Garza. You ready for this avalanche of love that's about to come your way now that you've earned this offer? And one thing when he said you've earned this offer, I truly felt like I did, because it was a long time coming in terms of conversations of what I need to do to improve and to get better to be able to earn an opportunity at this level. So that, again, I've played a lot of games in my basketball career, but that game, if you were to ask my parents, my dad would definitely say that's the best game and the most pivotal, important game of my career. So it's kind of cool to look back at now from 2020 hindsight vision. and to go back down that memory lane. So I appreciate you bringing it up.
I only remember it because I think Krabinoff was hitting me up like, I need film of this. I'm like, yeah, I got highlights, but I don't know if that's what you want. This is before everything was being taped all the time. I think they obviously found something because they offered you at that point. But it's funny that you bring up what Guard said because there's always. Wisconsin fans were always frustrated, and this is back when, when high school recruiting was, more important, and, you lived and died by what you did in high school recruiting. Obviously, that's not the case anymore, but Guard was often first to the punch on all these guys, and he'd offer, and, you see these kids blow up. So it's kind of funny that, at least he knows what's going on, too. But, looking back on your Wisconsin career now, too, you're one of a few guys that was able to win 2 Big Ten titles, and both of them were just very, if not extremely, improbable. 2 seasons where nobody thought much of you guys on the outside. And the first one, you guys were dead in the water middle of the season, it felt like. I mean, I was at Minnesota when you guys got blown out. I was at Iowa when it looked like you guys were going to get a key road win there, and I think it was a 10-point lead you had with just over a minute to go, and that one got away from you, ended up going into overtime, I think. And at the time, a lot of people thought this might be it for Greg Gard as head coach. What do you just remember about that season and how you guys were able to not only turn it around, but win a Big Ten title and do it with, I think it was 6 or 7 scholarship players, too, you only had?
Yeah, it was incredible. I think I talk a lot about I think I have a unique ability to connect and to relate to guys because I've been in their shoes and experienced the high of highs and also the low of lows. You look at that junior season, and that pretty much matches the high of highs and the low of lows. Going back all the way to the summer before the season when Coach Moore got into his accident.
Yeah.
And going from there all the way to kind of the pinnacle or the peak right before the whole season got shut down again with another low of low. So just a big range of emotions. And ultimately, when you go through trials and tribulations and struggles like that, what happens is you either break apart or you come closer together. And when you're a part of a program that has a great culture and that values relationships and that does things the right way and prioritizes people, when you go through those trials and tribulations, it's designed to bring you closer together. And as we went through all those highs and lows, and there was so many things trying to pull us apart, ultimately what it did is it kind of put us in a bubble of, you know what, we're all we got. No one really believes in us. No one thinks much of us. Obviously, you have your fans, your diehard fans that still believe in us and are rooting for us, but also there's a lot of things that on the outside don't look good. But at the end of the day, you still have each other. And when you have a culture and a program and a leader and leadership from players that value those things, it allowed us to come together and do something, like you said, improbable. And ultimately, when you do win the Big Ten championship and you have a moment like that, after you've gone through what you've gone through in those trials and tribulations, it makes it that much more special. And it makes your story that much more memorable. So all things considered, an incredible season, but also there's some really low moments in there that ultimately just kind of add to the foundation of creating the memories that we had from that last season, from that junior season.
Curious, does it still sting not to get to finish that one out in a Big Ten tournament, NCAA tournament, because everything was shut down from COVID? Because, I mean, you guys were arguably the hottest team in the country. I got to imagine there's just kind of this tugging feeling at you after that, season was cut short.
Most definitely. I'm content. I don't lose sleep over it. I do remember the morning I woke up and I had about 50 messages because we were the ESPN algorithm index national champions or whatever that was. And that didn't make me feel any better. That made me more mad after I saw that. Don't lose sleep over it, but it's definitely one of those what-if moments because we were rolling. I think we'd won 8 or 10 in a row. We would have been the 2 seed in NCAA tournament, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
You never know what could happen and what momentum we could have gotten from that season to carry over into that next season. And So there's always a big what if, but also I'm a believer that things happen for a reason. So I don't lose sleep over it. I know some people want to hang that ESPN banner up or make a T-shirt. I would wear it.
I
I
have
would
it. I
wear it.
have it. They sent it to me
Okay. Okay, good for you. I need to get
somewhere.
one of those. Um, but yeah, it's definitely fun to look back. And again, you have all those highs and lows, but also you just remember the people you got to do it with. And those relationships are so strong now because of the highs and lows that we went through together.
So 2 years later, you're able to do it again. And like you mentioned, that whole COVID season was kind of some of the low of lows for you guys. The entire core essentially decides not to use that season. You're the one guy that does give it an extra year in the program. And I remember talking about this with you, I think. But there's kind of this dynamic between you and Johnny Davis. Johnny obviously was kind of the up-and-coming thing in the program. I think he was ready to be the guy. You decide to come back. Knowing you and your history at Wisconsin, you're obviously always the loudest one in the room. You're the leader. You had been that guy for the program pretty much since you had stepped on campus. I remember, you guys, I think, had a conversation in the preseason about how this was going to work. Do you just remember that conversation and how, I don't want to say smoothed over, I don't know if there's any tension, I'm not trying to imply there's tension or anything, but that conversation that you had with Johnny just to make this thing work so you both could get what you wanted out of this year and also at the same time help this program get back to the title.
Yeah, there definitely wasn't any tension. I always had a really good relationship with Johnny, and it wasn't necessarily one conversation, but it was just over time. When I made the decision to come back, I called everyone on the team to tell them I was coming back. I told Coach that I wanted to do that, and so that they hear from my mouth of why I was coming back. And the first reason was, personally, my dream has always been to play college basketball at the highest level, and to have one more opportunity to do that seems like a blessing to me, and I want to take advantage of it. And second, again, the term player coach was thrown out or used, but it was an opportunity for me to come back and to be a resource, because I had been through a lot my first 4 seasons in terms of highs and lows, and similar to now, I have had a really good opportunity and a unique ability to relate to guys because I've been in their shoes, and then to actually have the opportunity to do that, but also get to compete on the floor was really unique and something I wanted to take advantage of. And so my conversation with Johnny was a very similar sentiment as I'm a resource for you, and I'm here to help you accomplish all the goals and dreams that you have. Because it was the confidence he came in with that summer, it was very clear that he was going to be one of the best players in the Big Ten. Even though the rest of the world didn't know it, we knew it. And so I just was constantly in his ear of, how can I help you? What can I do for you? How can I serve you? That sort of thing of, like, this is your team. You're the guy. I'm here to help push and guide us in the right direction. And same thing with Tyler Wall. It was another guy who was kind of coming up in a leadership position. Again, it wasn't coming back to be my team and I wanted to shoot and score. No, I was coming back to try to help the team be successful and to try to help chase a championship with the players that we had. So it was, again, how can I be a resource? How can I help? How can I serve? With that being said, I know the value I bring to the court, and I'm going to play at a high level, and my level is here to push you. So all summer long, I also got to guard Johnny and guard Tyler and try to raise that competition and physicality level of, hey, Johnny, if you can do this against me, you're going to do this against anybody we play against, because that was a belief I had in myself and then a belief that I had in him, that a belief I think then everyone got to see. So looking back on it, those are, again, challenging conversations, but also just life-giving conversations of, I think, are a necessary ingredient to any championship team. And so to have the opportunity to go back on that 5th year, to be in the fight with those guys, and to have it work out how it did was awesome.
In that whole season, there were very few bumps in the road until you guys got to the end. Even though nobody expected much from the outside, you guys were just pretty much on after that, I think, what was it, the Maui Invitational quarterfinal against Texas A&M. After that first half, I think there was a bump in the road later at Ohio State when you guys took a loss and you and Johnny kind of scored all the points, and people started to wonder, are these guys going to get any help? But what do you remember about maybe how that team came together and how some of the other guys, eventually stepped up their game? Because obviously you and Johnny, Wisconsin fans and the coaching staff knew they could count on you every night, but that thing doesn't get done. You don't have the final record. You don't beat Purdue twice without having 5, 6, 7 guys to really elevate their game around you guys.
No doubt, and I think Johnny deserves a lot of credit because he played with such a confidence, such a belief, and such a conviction that you couldn't help but be confident around him. There'd be games where maybe he'd be missing shots or things wouldn't be going, and he was still just he was fierce and he was a killer. And so when you're on the floor with someone like that, it boosts your confidence and you start to kind of take that personality too. And so when your best player competes like that on an everyday basis, I think that elevated the play of everyone around us, myself included. So again, the way he played and the confidence that he played with, I think, oozed out of him and overflowed into the rest of us. And ultimately, we had a team. We had a true team of guys that knew their roles, knew what they could do to add value to the team, and it was a beautiful thing where it didn't matter if we were on the home or on the road. We almost loved the road more, and that kind of became our identity and something that we kind of rallied around. Is like, yeah, we get to come in here and do what we do on your floor. And again, Johnny was a huge catalyst of that. But you go through that season and, we're winning at Assembly Hall, at Michigan State, at Purdue, at Rutgers, at Minnesota, at these. It's actually on the inside of our Big Ten championship ring. We got we won on road arenas that no Big Ten team has ever done in the same season. So we got all written inside our Big Ten championship ring. So, and when you have the ability to create your own identity like that of being, doesn't matter where we play, we're going to do what we do. There's a confidence level that comes with that's tough to beat.
You kind of talked to me about Greg Gard. He's taken a lot of crap from this fan base during his career. I always try and tell people I don't think you know how good you have it with him. I think a lot of the football fans are sort of finding that out now, and I get it. There's some stuff to be desired with his postseason success, and he knows that. Nobody has to tell him that. But he stepped into a near impossible situation, following a legend like Bo Ryan. He was always going to be compared to Bo, and those last 2 seasons he had where Wisconsin got to the Final Four in the national championship game. But it feels like people or the entirety of the fan base are really starting to wrap their arms around him with his ability to just adapt to the way the game's going. Not only on the floor with the offense and stuff, but the defense, the NIL and the portal and what he's doing there. Can you kind of just talk to me about Greg Gard, the person, the guy, we don't get to see, who you deal with on a day-to-day basis behind the scenes?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on it, but his ability and willingness to evolve with the changing landscape of college basketball on the court and off the court is a testament to the coach he is, but also to the person that he is. It's been, as a player, I got to experience Coach Gard as an assistant coach recruiter, as a head coach recruiter, playing for a head coach, as an alumni, and now being inside the walls. And the one thing that still rings true is that he's the same person he was throughout the whole thing, even though maybe on the surface he's changed in terms of how he plays basketball or how he coaches different things. He's still the same person. I think that consistency goes a long ways, and that consistency is what you see in the results of the program. So I feel so fortunate and blessed to have the opportunity to be around him for so long, and now moving forward to learn from him from a different chair, maybe from a more behind-the-scenes look. And I just can't wait to be a sponge and to learn as much as I can from him, and then also to serve him and to add value in any way that I can. And so this program is in great hands with him as the leader of it, and we should all be very fortunate that he's the leader of our pack.
What's it just say about him that you see so many former players under his staff now and continue to come back and continue to stay, whether it's Coach Krabinoff, Coach Chambliss, yourself, Coach Steemsma, Coach Penny, that they all, seem to stick around and kind of flock to him?
That's the goal. I think that's the goal, is to have people in the program that bleed red and white. That, again, for me, the opportunity to come back here, it wasn't just a job or an opportunity. It's like a duty to serve. I don't want to draw parallels to the military, but it's like it's a duty and a responsibility to come back and to serve the program and to pour into the people and to give back to the people that are now in the program because you care so much about it. It's more than just winning games. It's a desire to be involved, but also a desire to help continue to elevate and to have people in the program that know the standard of Wisconsin basketball, but also have the desire to elevate that standard. I think it's really important. I think that's something that Coach Gard talks about and something that he sees. And also, like you said, it's a testament to who he is as a coach and as a person, that there's people that want to come back and be a part of this, whether we're coaches or whether it's just alumni coming back to games or Johnny Davis just coming to practice with us one day, because why wouldn't he? Those things, they go a long ways. And also the players in the program, hopefully they see that commitment, that level of pride, that level of love. Truly, that's what it is, that level of love and respect that we have for the W on our chest. And hopefully that permeates throughout the team.
So you're going to be doing some recruiting for the program too. Obviously, it's a little different era than when you were coming up. I mean, teams aren't necessarily built, through high school recruiting anymore. There are obviously certain guys that are going to make sense, certain guys that don't. But the life of the program isn't going to be decided anymore by the decision of 16, 17, 18-year-old. It's going to be heavily influenced by the portal and international recruiting, guys that are playing professionally now. But when you go on the road and you meet with these kids or you sit down with their families, how do you just want to sell this place, or how are you going to tailor the pitch to these guys to be able to get them to come to Wisconsin when that time comes?
Yeah, again, I think it goes back to the experience that I had here in terms of the highs and the lows, the relationships that were built, the culture, the standard of the program. That's the beauty of Wisconsin basketball in our program, is the program kind of sells itself, is what you're going to get as we consistently compete at the highest level. And if that's what you want to do and you want to compete at the highest level, this is where you need to want to be, because that's who we are and it's what we do. And so that's the beauty of being a part of a program like this, is it sells itself. But again, I think the biggest thing for me in recruiting is just going to be forming a connection, developing a relationship, valuing them not just as a player but as a person. Because ultimately there's a lot of changing, like you mentioned, there's a lot of the recruiting world is changing.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's going to come down to really strong relationships. And I know there's a lot of factors, but also when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, you got to have people that care about you, not just as a player, but also as a person. So that'll be my number one goal, whether I'm talking to a kid from overseas in the transfer portal or a high school kid, trying to build that bridge of trust and the foundation of a relationship, and then just allowing the program to sell itself, because that's the standard of what this place has become. And if you want to play at the highest level, that's the standard. Come be a part of it.
So you're also, I'm sure, going to be counted on for your professional experience to help continue to move this offense forward. You step into Kirk Penny, who's kind of the architect of the whole thing. Playing overseas for 4 years as you did, what did you just pick up from playing ball on the other side of the world that maybe you can bring to this program from an X's and O's standpoint?
Yeah, most definitely. I think the biggest difference between overseas and on the state side is, and it's really what we've kind of transitioned to, is you want players to make plays. You don't want plays to make the player. You don't want to put players inside of plays. You want players that make plays for you. And That's one thing I learned in the European landscape of playing basketball professionally, especially in Spain. 5 people touching it, constant motion, constant movement, whether that's through down screens or ball screens or off screens. Obviously, we've adopted more of a ball screen model here in Wisconsin, but so many different ways to play with 5 people moving it, touching it within a flow and rhythm. And so that's the goal, is to have everyone feel like they're involved, even if they're not, taking every shot or having every dribble, continuing to have that 5-person cohesion. And that's one thing that I really learned playing over there. And playing over there for 4 years for 6 different coaches throughout the years, learning new ways to do that, and then incorporating that into how we want to play at Wisconsin goes a long ways. And so ways to create space, but also not only to create space, but to take advantage of that space and to put the correct players in the correct positions to take advantage of those space. So there's a lot of different things that we can do. So those are just things that I learned. Again, there's a long list of, for me, again, as I've always prepared for this moment of becoming a coach and not just over there as a player. Thankfully, I got coaching journals on coaching journals of all the different things that we tried to do and different plays and systems to try to take advantage and create that space. So it's been good to dust those off and look at them and try to incorporate into what we do here.
So just looking at this year's team, obviously there's a lot of pieces to it, but John Blackwell is sort of the headliner. And I remember when he was being recruited here, you were at the tail end of your career. He comes in to work out with you guys during a visit, however you broke it up. He gets up and down, and I think you were one of the guys that went over to Coach Gard and was like, who is this? We need to go get him. What do you remember about just playing against him for the first time, and does it surprise you at all, just the trajectory he's been on here through his first 2 years at Wisconsin?
No, I remember the open gym very vividly, and afterwards I just went to Coach Gar. I said, he could play for us right now. I don't know how old he is. I don't know who he is, but he could play for us right now. Just because his ability to know how to play, and at that point it was play without the ball in terms of, there's certain unwritten basketball rules of when things happen, you got to cut here or move there or take advantage of that space, and he did it. And he found ways to score and be involved in an open gym without needing the ball, which a lot of times in open gym is just you kind of switch off who plays ball screen or you switch off who plays ISO. And so to be able to score when you don't have the ball, to be able to impact winning in an open gym when you don't have the ball, it says a lot about who you are as a player and as a person. And I just remember John doing that at a really high level. I still don't know how old he was at that time that he was at the open gym. But it was really impressive to me and something that stands out. Stands out to a coach. It stands out maybe even more to a player who wants to be a coach because you're actually on the floor experiencing it. So no, I'm not surprised at all. But then now to see how much impact he can have on the game when the ball is on his hands, that obviously makes a big difference too. So excited to see what this season has in store for him. And there's a lot of really good pieces around him in terms of shooting bigs that can space the floor, other guards that can handle it and take advantage of space and create opportunities for others. So there's a lot of different moving pieces around him that I think are just going to boost his level higher and higher. And that's the goal when you have a really talented player, is to have people around him that boost him up, because not only is he going to make his teammates better, but his teammates will also make him better.
There's a noticeable buzz around this team right now, just coming off last year's success, and then some of the pieces in the portal, and Wisconsin was able to return their 2 horses in Blackwell and Nolan Winter. Just watching practice, I know the bullets aren't flying yet. I know you haven't faced any real challenges that are going to come, and you got to do it when there's thousands of people in the stands and the lights get bright. But you watch practice, and that ball's just not sticking to any one area, any one person. Everybody feels like they can shoot it. It feels like you got 5 guys that could lead you in scoring on any given night. Defensively, the communication's through the roof. It just feels like there's a lot of green flags with this team. Is it fair to say that, and I know you still got to go out and win the games, but, is it fair to say that, the buzz and hype around this group right now is real based on what's happening in practice?
Most definitely. We have high expectations, and we talk about the standard of Wisconsin basketball, and our goal is to elevate it. And we have the roster, and we have the talent, and the experience, and the depth to do it. Obviously, you talk about use the word buzz, and you bring back John and Nolan, and you bring in these transfers and all these different things. But at the end of the day, we have great depth too. There's a lot of players on that court and in this locker room that can impact winning right now and that can play at a high level. And so we always say, as coaches, it's a good problem to figure out who you're going to put on the floor, because you have so many different options and so many different ways to play and so many different scoring options, so many different people that can add value. It's a good problem to figure out how you're going to give out minutes to people instead of trying to you want to find minutes for people, not people for minutes. And that's the situation that we have for ourselves. And so that buzz is warranted. Again, that's why you come to Wisconsin. That's the standard we have. There should always be buzz. Most of the time, people have us picked a lot lower than we finished. It just kind of comes with the territory. One of these years, they're going to figure out that we always finish higher than they have us. We think they'd learn that by now. But that buzz is what we want, and it's because of the talent we have in the gym, because of the standard we have for ourselves, and that's why you come to Wisconsin, to compete at the highest level, and that's what we plan to do this year.
And last thing before I let you go, I know you're busy. You got a lot of stuff to do today. I don't know if you'll answer this, but when you think about what you want your coaching career to look like, you've already said this is the place you want to be. Is the end goal for you to someday be the head coach of the Wisconsin basketball program, whether you take the keys to the car from Coach Gard, maybe Coach Krabenoff, whoever? When your coaching career is said and done, is this what you want in the end?
God willing, I would love the opportunity to lead a program one day, and I can't think of a program better than the University of Wisconsin because of how much I love this community, love this program, love the people in it. With that being said, I'm just so eager to serve where my feet are right now, and to be a sponge and to learn as much as I can and to add value and to serve this coaching staff, this roster. In this day and age, sometimes you really only get 1 year with that locker room and this roster because of all the changing parts. So just trying to soak that in and take it year by year, and maximize the moment, because the moments are fleeting and the moments go by fast. So super content with where I am right now, super excited about what the future has in store. And again, I walk into this building every day with a smile on my face, because I love it here, and I love the people, and I love the community, and I love the future of Wisconsin basketball, and I'm just so thankful to be a part of it.
All right, Mr. Davison, I could talk ball to you all day, but I know you got a job to do. I appreciate the time, and best of luck to you guys this season.
You got it. Talk again soon. Appreciate you.